we've talked to you quite a bit about, regulatory risks for Facebook and everything they've been dealing with and they're facing. We haven't talked to you about Libra yet. What do you think of this proposed digital coin?
I think it's really an interesting opportunity, and I hope that what you see on the Hill today, that there are some real risks, but considering the risks doesn't overshadow the opportunity it presents, not only to provide banking services to the unbanked, a large part of which live outside of the United States, but also to reduce fees and a whole bunch of other things. It's important that cryptocurrencies are occurring right now. So Facebook is a big entry, and it's changed the profile of the discussion in a very significant way. So this may be exactly what it needs to gain more market acceptability.
Yeah, Kristen, to that point, this idea that Facebook entering the cryptocurrency space has changed the profile of the discussion. It's certainly brought more attention to this nascent industry, but it's also brought an incredible tidal wave of scrutiny. Is it good or is it bad?
It's an opportunity. We're very excited here at the Blockchain Association because just a few short weeks ago, we were a relatively sort of obscure topic to be talking about on the Hill, and all of a sudden we are in prime time. We have the Treasury Secretary, the President of the United States, the Chairman of the Federal Reserve, and both committees in Congress talking about these issues. And so we think it's an opportunity. I think what's been very promising today at the hearings is that most of the animosity that senators have about this are because of legacy Facebook issues. They do have questions about how Libra itself would work, but I think my favorite words of the day were when Chairman Crapo said the words beneficial and inevitable, describing cryptocurrencies and the industry. So we take it as an opportunity.
There was a discussion about agency turf wars, essentially. Who's gonna be the cop?
Right.
If you were still at FTC, would you be pushing for it?
I think it sounds more like banking to me rather than a pure data issue. Now, the question is whether you think our banking institutions are enough to protect those consumer and privacy issues. That's another question entirely. You know, I think it's really interesting when you deal with cryptocurrencies. There's three elements you have to have. You have to have essentially the backstop, which is what Libra provides in this pool of whatever. Second is a regulatory function in which they're bringing some attention to. But the third is market acceptability. That's where Facebook can do something that no one else can. It can bring billions of people into this. And don't forget, most people don't use anything blockchain or cryptocurrencies at all. So this is very interesting to see. And we're at the beginning. I would tell people we have a long way to go here.
But it sounds like you think there's a difference between politician outrage and consumer outrage.
Absolutely.
You think people would still be willing to trust? I mean, engagement has sort of backed that up, you could argue.
Well, you know, even if you look at Facebook, and what they do with how they handle what they do now, you have people on either ends of the bell curve who might be outraged, but the majority of people are using it successfully and are using it well. So, and that's shown in how it's reflected in the marketplace. So I think if you head toward that center of the bell curve, then they have really something to offer. That's not to say there doesn't deserve to be oversight. But I do think that they're approaching this one the right way by inviting everybody else in.
Yeah. Kristen, certainly we're talking about Libra right now, but they're not the only ones who are developing digital coins or putting together consortiums to try and offer similar services or similar tokens. How does this compare with what else is happening in the industry more broadly? And do you think Facebook will really be the first one to market in a meaningful way?
Project is one of just many types of blockchain-based projects that are out there. I mean, a lot of these aim at solving issues with payments and remittances, but there are other specialized cryptocurrency tokens that are being developed that will work within specialized software systems that are going to improve the way we do operate the internet today. And so we want to just make sure that as we're looking at these, not everything is lumped into the same bucket. They have different considerations and different functions at different times, and that means there's going to be different regulators. You may have the SEC at some level, you may have the CFTC at some level, you could even have the FTC if it's a software type system. I think the important thing that we want to get across to lawmakers is there are a lot of regulators that are actively overseeing this industry today, whether it be state level agencies, the CFTC and the SEC, like I said, and most importantly, FinCEN at the Department of Treasury, which for years, as Secretary Mnuchin said yesterday, has been working to have good anti-money laundering regulations in place for the cryptocurrency industry. So there's a lot of work that's been done at the agency level, and this Libra project has been a good opportunity to educate members of Congress and their staffs about all of the regulations that are in place today.
Finally, Mizelle, a lot of the scrutiny that we have heard, whether it's from the president or the Fed chair last week or lawmakers today, has been focused on, this idea that you see these digital coins like Libra come out, the worry that it could undermine currencies, it could undermine monetary policy. On the flip side, Facebook's saying they're not trying to compete with bank deposits. They are not looking to, be in that position. Who's right? How does that, I guess, gap get filled in?
The way you've described the problem is that you have either side.
Yeah.
The truth is in the middle, actually.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of people who are not being served by banking right now, or it's not being efficient. To the extent it makes banking more efficient, I think it's great. To the extent it provides an avenue for people who don't have banking services, I think that's great too. So I think there's a lot of room here for coexistence. Right now it's a little bit of a jump ball. They're kind of throwing things in the air, and let's see how it shakes out.